And I'm Paul Marshall from OPB. Portland lost over $1 million in a wire transfer gone wrong, and city officials were keeping quiet. The Portland Trailblazers are for sale, and a very big name has stepped up hoping to buy them. And last year, Oregon lawmakers gave every public school district in Oregon the option to ban guns from their premises.
I actually see it more as closing a loophole that still allowed concealed carry than something that was new or revolutionary.
It's Consider This from OPB and NPR. Each Friday, we wrap up the week's news. This week, OPB News Director Anna Griffin is here to help us catch up. Support for this podcast comes from OPB members. Become a sustaining member at opb.org. Support also comes from Pacific Source Health Plans, providing health coverage for Oregonians that strives to go beyond what's required from members. Learn more at PacificSourceMembersFirst.com. Anna, last year, Oregon lawmakers gave school districts the option to close an exemption that allows holders of a concealed handgun license to carry weapons on the public property, where possessing a gun could otherwise be a felony. What have school districts around the state done with that new authority?
So far, less than you might think, Paul. Just 13% of Oregon districts, that's around 25, have taken the legislature up on this offer to let them ban guns on campus, regardless of whether you have a concealed handgun permit. Among the districts that has enacted a ban is Ben Lapine, where Melissa Barnes Delakia is the board chair. You heard her at the top of the segment saying, this isn't really revolutionary change, it's more common sense. The counter-argument to these bans is stark and says a lot about where we are as a country right now. It's essentially people who set out to do harm to school children don't care that carrying a gun on campus is a crime, so banning them is not going to deter anything. A growing number of districts are looking at adopting gun bans. This is an issue that understandably is on people's minds even more in the wake of the horrific events in Texas last week. Among the larger districts that are now considering going along with the ban, Portland Public Schools.
The fate of the Portland Trailblazers has been cloudy since owner Paul Allen died 4 years ago. Now there's an offer on the table from Nike co-founder Phil Knight and the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers. What do we know about the future of the franchise?
This is news that was broken by ESPN this week that a consortium led by Knight and a co-owner of the Dodgers offered $2 billion, that's billion with a B, to the trust that is running the team, and that they've been talking to both the Blazers and the NBA. It is a lot of money, a little perspective. Allen bought the Blazers for $70 million in 1988. The last NBA team to be sold, the Minnesota Timberwolves, sold for $1.5 billion. That sale also included Minnesota's WNBA franchise, but the Blazers occupy a very unique position that may justify that $2 billion number. They are the big draw in a city without professional football or baseball. An important note here, the Blazers say the team is not for sale and seemed irritated that this offer was leaked, which is understandable. If they are going to sell, they want as many potential buyers as possible. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver says the team will be sold, not necessarily soon. We could be a long way from resolution. But the reason this is so exciting for Blazers fans is that the folks at the top of this proposed deal have shown a willingness to spend a lot of money on sports. The Dodgers are the highest spending team in baseball, so anybody in their ownership group is okay spending money to win. Knight, as I think we all know, is a huge supporter of University of Oregon athletics. Knight is also deeply, deeply invested, both emotionally and financially, in the state of Oregon. It's hard not to think about both what a deal like this could mean for the Blazers on the court, but also what a more active and willing to spend ownership group really committed to Portland and Oregon could mean for the area around the Moda Center and really for the entire city.
City leaders aren't saying much about how over $1 million disappeared. Let me try that again. City leaders aren't saying much about how over $1 million disappeared. What do we know about the case?
This is a weird one, Paul. So yeah, the city of Portland has contracts with hundreds of vendors, construction firms that it pays on a regular basis. That process is done by computers. It's largely automated. If the city owes you money, you submit a request, it's approved. The money moves from a city account to yours magically, electronically, one bank account to another. Earlier this spring, the nonprofit Central City Concern asked Portland to send it $1.4 million as part of construction costs for an affordable housing project the nonprofit is running for Portland. The system seemed to work the way it was supposed to. The request came in, the system sent the money out, except the money didn't go to Central City Concern. Portland leaders have been very tight-lipped about this so far. What we know is they are calling it a cybersecurity breach. The Secret Service and the ATF are involved. There have been no charges against anyone yet, and the city is not saying where that $1.4 million actually ended up going. They have acknowledged that there was a second attempt to redirect money that was supposed to go to pay somebody the city owed. That was caught by a municipal employee before the money went astray.
That's Anna Griffin. I'm Paul Marshall. Thanks for joining us for Consider This from OPB and NPR. For the latest news from Oregon and Southwest Washington at any time, visit opb.org and join us next Friday right here for a summary of the biggest news of the week.